Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Legends video. My name is D-Free. Here today we're going to be discussing the V-Jump scan for the next upcoming units. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hit that subscribe if you're new for more content, as well as that notification icon so you guys don't miss anything that we upload here on the channel. So, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, for this scan, we do see there is a brand new Dragon Ball Super BROLY BARDOCK coming in the game, alongside Tapion, by the way. It's just, the Tapion art is legit. The BARDOCK art is pretty good too. That Tapion, bro. Anyways, I'm excited for this. Now, the first thing I want to mention is, I've been asked, like, hey, is this the Black Friday banner? So, no, this is not going to be that quote-unquote banner, right? You guys know that every week we do get a new update in the game, whether it's like an actual new banner with new characters or like a retread banner. So today there's actually maintenance in the game. I assume that's just going to be like some sort of like redo banner or like a Legends type of banner, not featuring any new characters, but just a rerun of older characters, right? So the next thing I want to mention is every single month when we get a V-Jump scan, there's always confusion, right? I mentioned people asking, is this the Black Friday banner? There's always confusion. Literally, and I mean literally, majority of the time, almost every single time. I think there was only one time this wasn't the case. So every single time, pretty much, since Legends has been in the V-Jump scan, right, previewing a banner and new characters, they're always Ultra Space Time Summon banners. So what that means is, this is not your hype banner to be expecting for quote-unquote Black Friday or anything like that. This is going to come in a couple of weeks, and the presumed Black Friday banner will come sometime next week, pretty much. So keep that in mind. They both should be happening. So the next thing I want to kind of talk about, other than that, is talking about these characters and where they should fit in the game, and teams that will be getting buffed with the introduction of these characters, alongside some preliminary translations based on what's in this scan here, courtesy of our friend Goresh, the homie Goresh. You guys know him. So that being said, let's go ahead and move on to that portion of the video. So he said for the Dragon Ball Legends stuff, it seems to be a defense-type Bardock coming, but he has an incredibly powerful special move. Tapion specializes in debuffing the enemy, and then he did add that whenever the V-Jump scan came out officially, that the only new thing about the Legends scan is that it mentions Tapion specializing in using green cards. So that's kind of like what we have. And again, it's ultra preliminary stuff. There's not really much going on as far as these characters are concerned. Like, they don't really tell us much. It's like less than a paragraph per character mentioning what they are and what they're good at and what they do. So that being said, again, in a couple of weeks, this banner should pop up. Now, for the record, I'm not confirming that there will even be a Black Friday banner. All of us are pretty much assuming that based on last year, and it just makes the most sense. A lot of people, myself included, are feeling like Rosé would make the most sense for that, but you never know what's going to happen. I think he's most likely, right? But you never know what could potentially happen, so just obviously kind of handle things with a grain of salt. So for the most recent example of a Ultra Space Time banner, the current one up now with Frieza and Cooler is that one. And if you're a new player to the game, that's the banner where you get those silver tickets, and 7 of them makes a single guaranteed, sparking something that you can do on the banner. So again, that banner is just like that. It's not going to be a Legends Rising or anything like, you know, an offset type of banner. So immediately, the first thing I want to mention is both of those characters slot into the Sagas from the Movies group. So the Sagas from the Movies group is, I mentioned this previously in the video, an interesting group because they have obviously some really good mainline characters that actually do buff their tag, right? All these characters appear, and then all these characters that down here that are actually applicable to this team, that if you need to, you can slot in the team despite them not actually buffing the rest of the tag. And generally, from a team building perspective, I mentioned in a lot of videos that I like to have no less than like 4 Z abilities on a character. So that means that you have 2 characters on the team that can either buff themselves or like buff like a specified ally or something like that, despite not buffing the entirety of the team. So for example, if you ran like a full Saiyan core with 4 Saiyan buffers, and obviously they'd be getting the Saiyan Z abilities if you added in some fusion characters. Excuse me, the fusion characters would get the Saiyan Z abilities, but they would only get their own fusion Z abilities as well. So they'd be getting 6 if you had 2 of them on your team, right? And then the other 4 were just regular Saiyan buffers. Those guys would only get 4 Z abilities because they would not pick up the Saiyan one. So that's just kind of the general aspect of this. Now, I also want to mention that's our first movie Bardock, because if you're not aware, if you're somebody that thinks that the Bardock movies, quote unquote Bardock movies, right? Either of them, right? The original one, you know, the pre-Dragon Ball Z, you know, all that, and then also this one with Super Saiyan Bardock, all that. Those are not movies. But the game is classifying them as anime original sagas. They're specials. They're anime specials. They're not actually movies, right? So that means that these characters are not actually applicable to the movie's tag, and that's been the case for forever. And this is not just a game-specific thing, that they're literally not movies, right? Despite them being, I guess, on VHS back in the day. But that being said, we're getting our first actual movie Bardock. So just like our most recent movie edition character, I think, to this team, I think he's the most recent, other than Cooler, who came out. He's in the movies. Yeah, we're getting Nappa's from Dragon Ball Super Broly, so there's that. That Cooler is in this movie's group. Frieza's not, because he's actually from the anime adaptation of Resurrection F. Same with the blue units, right? So that's going to be interesting, right? Seeing that, and these characters are going to buff this. So for the tags that the Bardock is going to have, he's going to have all the same tags here. Sans the anime originals. That's going to swap for movies, of course. But he's going to have Sparking, obviously, because he's a Sparking. He'd have just pretty much a Saiyan. That's it. Saiyan in movies. Well, movies isn't even a traditional tag. It's an episode, but you get my point. So that being said, he's pretty much only going to have the Saiyan tag. So he'll only be applicable to those two teams. Now, since he's a Bardock character, fun little fact, despite him not being the same Bardock as intended, he would actually be able to get buffs from Fasha and Tora. Like, he meets the requirement as being a Bardock character. So keep that in mind. That's how this game works. If it ever says the character's name, it doesn't matter. Every single iteration of that character, no matter the timeline or whatever, does apply, right? So keep that in mind too. So that's things to consider when it comes to him. Now, if we bounce back over to the movies group, movies is a character tag that, again, I already mentioned, has a ton of characters that are really, really good and very mainline characters, right? But movies was already one of the top teams in the game. Ever since they got pretty much these three right here, they've been the best, one of the best teams in the game, if not the best, for the record, right? There's Lineage of Evil up there. Sun Family's always up there somewhere. There's a couple other teams. But Movies has just been really good because their character groups have gotten really good from Ultra Space Time Summon Banner specifically, in fact. Literally from Ultra Space Times. And the thing to watch out for is if that Bardock comes in and he's like, I don't think they need another like double attack Z ability booster. But if he's like a character that has a powerful Z ability, he's going to be a defense type. So it's going to be interesting to see. If he comes in and he's like double defense, that's not super represented here. They have Broly who does that, post 5-star, I believe. That would be pretty impactful for this team that has a lot of tanky options and good offensive options. Now, he does specialize in special moves, which is also good because the Gohan draws a special move and Gohan has synergy with that Bardock. Now, talking about like the character color option for Bardock, and then we'll transition over to Tapion. So if you look at the group here of characters that actually do buff the tag, a lot of, just for the record, the optimal team for this group is pretty much these first three, and then some semblance of either Zangia or transforming Vegeta. A lot of people prefer to run him because he's very, very good as a blue fighter. And then some other combination of Z ability units that, you know, are on the bench pretty much. But red. They need another mainline red, I'd say. Fusion 13 is very good, and if you wanted to run Great Saiyaman 2, you could do that. She's very good too. Cooler has the Z ability post 5-star, I believe, for Sagas. He's okay, but another red would be really good. Now, the only downside of that is it would invalidate Fury Broly even more than he already is as one of their main red fighters. He's still really good, especially for his switch bonuses, but I think it's about time we probably get something like that. So another red, or potentially another blue. Like, that would be very good. Honestly, I think I'll lean more towards blue as the color that I would like to see. But the downside, or the plus, I guess, is that there's two characters coming in. There's no indication, by the way. Like, the borders, none of that tells us what color they're going to be. Like, these are green outlines. That doesn't mean anything. So, that being said, there's two characters coming in. They can both come in and be red and blue. That would actually fill out this group of characters in a similar way to how this guy and the red Frieza came out and actually filled out their character group with optimal choices. You see, you have yellow, green, and then their best red now. Their blue is still the same because he's freaking good. And they have a new purple, and then this guy's your designated bench because he's just too good to take off the bench pretty much. So they came out on the last banner and did exactly what you needed for this team. Now, after this patch of characters, I really hope they kind of just move on from this team because it's honestly getting obnoxious how much they're stroking this team right now. It's actually really reminiscent of what they did for androids for months and months, just going with new characters and new equipments, just nonstop. So I kind of wish, I hope that they do that. Now, the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie anniversary is going to be, it's the world premiere actually, it was on the 14th of November, but the actual like public release in Japan was December. So It remains to be seen how they handle the early to middle, and I guess just December in general, because there could be something coming from that too, as far as like more representation. And I don't want to say that this Bardock coming is like any indicator of that, but it could be. It could be, right? It could be, because they dropped BROLY, and they dropped Bardock pretty much around the same time as the movie, because that's what's going to happen. It's the 19th currently. He's going to be popping like early December. That's part of why I think he could be coming. Something really big from that movie could be on the horizon, right? They dropped Nappa inexplicably out of nowhere. Now, for the last little thing, I want to talk about Tapion a little bit more, I guess, because I kind of already did cover him. I can't think of anything on the top of my head that Tapion would be applicable to. Maybe he'd have Transforming Warrior. You know what would be pretty hype for Tapion, and they're not doing it because it's not listed in the V-Jump, is if he was actually like a transforming Tapion into Hirudegarn. I wonder when they'll consider doing bigger characters, like apes and stuff. They could actually do apes in like a raid type of format. That'd be really cool if they wanted to implement like a raid type of deal and have you fight apes and giant characters like Hirudegarn. But it doesn't appear that he's going to be a transforming character. I honestly, off the top of my head, can't think of anything he'd be applicable to other than that. Now, when it comes to characters like Tapion, don't sleep on the fact that due to the team restrictions he would have, don't sleep on the fact that he could potentially wind up being similar to Hit. And what I mean by that is a character like Hit or Rildo, who doesn't have access to a lot of teams, and just would have like a general tag, which would be the movies tag. He could obviously buff that, but they could build him similarly to Hit, where he wants to be on like a monocentric team. Oh, all blue characters, and if you have like a green unit on your team, or like a red, what's the color? A purple unit. If you have like a blue and purple on your team, he gets this bonus. Like if you go back and read Hit's kit, like I'll actually show you guys a little bit of that. Don't sleep on the idea that he could actually be built similarly in a fashion to Hit, because they started kind of trying to buff mono teams with Hit and then EX Broly a little bit. Some of the other EXs that popped up a little bit in there, but they kind of moved on and went back to doing mainly movies. So like what I mean by that is like here, Hit's getting a ton of buffs, by the way. They made him pretty future-proof. The only downside to Hit is that, again, his team restrictions. But the following effects occur per yellow, blue, or green element on your team, stuff like that. His Z ability also is for yellow and blue post 3-star, and then it picks up the defense buff at 5-star. So like I expect something like that to honestly happen with Tapion, which is kind of unfortunate, I'd say. But it's not so bad if he's good and you can put him on your movies team as like your best red or something like that. Especially if he gives buffs to allies, similar to a lot of movies characters do. I don't want movies to be OP, but I think Tapion kind of is going to be in a weird spot. There might be something that I'm forgetting as far as tags are concerned, though, so that could be an option, too. And I didn't really talk much about Bardock on Saiyans. Saiyans is a fun team because their options keep expanding, but it's not like super mainstream. You're not paying a ton of attention to like Saiyan's group of characters because they have all these subsets like Vegeta families, Sun family, fusions, because you have the Vegetos and stuff like that. You have like just different subsets like God Key with this guy. But they're picking up options, and they have actually a lot of double buffers, like SS3 Goku post 3-star, this guy post 3-star, post 5-star in the GT units, SS3 Goku here post 5-star, you got a whale pretty much for all this stuff. He picks up Strike Attack, post 5-star EX Torres doing double buffing, and they have a huge cast of characters that's going to continue to get more and more options. So if the Bardock winds up coming in and he just becomes incredible for Saiyans, that on top of Nappa, who's actually really good for Saiyans too, they could be a very good resurgence for this team. For a team that hasn't been super top tier since, I want to say since the Green Bardock meta, pretty much. So anyways, thank you all for tuning in. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoyed today's video, hit that subscribe as well as that thumbs up, of course. So let me know what you guys think. Have an awesome day, and I'll catch all of you in the next one.